What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 5 of the Boost Hop podcast. This one is going to be a much shorter podcast. We don't have any special guest on.
Not this week.
Not this week, no. So
Maybe next.
maybe next time, yeah. On today's episode, I guess let's focus on, we'll just kind of recap the previous podcast episode.
Past 2.
Why past 2?
Because it's technically the past 2 episodes that we've had issues.
Yeah, okay. And then we'll just recap what we got going on in the shop.
Yeah.
We got a couple projects going on. We'll kind of refresh you guys on the 335s. You could see one of them is still on the lift behind me, and some engine builds we got going on. So I will pass it off to Elyse now, and maybe she'll start with, what would that be? So this is episode 5. Well, this is episode 5, so we got 4 or 3. So I'll let you start with episode number 3.
So episode 3, if you guys don't remember, between TikTok and Instagram and here on YouTube, y'all gave me a lot of shit, man. I mean, also you, Matt, because you kind of made my clips real interesting for people to be commenting on. So,
Well, that's the whole point.
Yeah, facts. So, to a lot of you, I'm not going to pull up comments because I think they're hilarious. But to a lot of you, you think I don't know anything about cars. But basically, let me backtrack a little bit. Episode 3 was about M54, N55, S55s. And I was real controversial when I said I think S55 is the worst made engine that BMW produced. Again, I was controversial because a lot of you took that to heart and literally started coming at me. My personal opinion, I own a business in the industry. I could have my own personal opinion because I've witnessed it and I've experienced it. So for you coming at me, for all of y'all coming at me, go yourself, okay? But
yeah, I mean, an opinion is exactly that. It's an
Yeah.
opinion, right? You know, there's a good old saying about opinions. They're like assholes. Everyone has one. But
bro.
you know what it is? And I know you take it not to heart, right? But you'll be like, oh, wow, this person said
I don't take it to heart. I just think it's comical because it's like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but a lot of these people who are commenting, majority of them are very young. And they're very, like, I know it all. Again, we were once there, right? We were once in our young 20s and we thought we knew the world and we knew it all. But again, I own my business. I own Z&M Performance. I sell parts. I work on vehicles. Matt literally can tell you I have worked on engines before. I get my hands dirty. I'm not this little pretty princess that like stands back and watches from the background. No, I enjoy truly learning things. But when I made that statement, yes, it's a bold statement. Yes, it's a controversial statement. A lot of people disagreed, which is fine. You can disagree, but like to literally come at me is hilarious. I think it's all really hilarious. And I just gave my personal opinion about it because from all the experience that we've had within the industry.
Yeah, not to cut you off real quick, but number one, what you said about the whole age thing, yeah, a lot of folks, the younger crowd, they haven't had a chance to drive the older BMWs, and we'll get to that in a second, but also, you also don't proclaim to be an expert on fixing anything or,
I think my favorite hashtag is like, I am literally the number one dumbest like, I am the first person to tell you I do not know. And if I do know, like, I will fight you on it. But I have never once said I knew everything about everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's not knowing everything about everything because I don't know everything about everything. And, you never will know everything about everything.
Industry,
You're always learning.
Yeah.
So you don't proclaim to be an expert at anything. It's more of your learning, right?
Yeah.
Now, the difference is I know a lot about a lot. Not everything about everything, but, it's different for anyone to go out there and say, oh, you don't know, she doesn't know, she's a female, she doesn't know what she's talking about, and if it's getting technical, I don't think she'll say anything without being not 100% right.
It more sounds like a question mark at the end of my statement. Like, I'll say something and I'll be like, question mark? Like,
yeah, but you'll be the first person to admit, hey, I'm asking a question in and of itself of not making a statement.
Yeah.
I'm curious, right? So
100%.
Elyse is the last person to say, I'm an expert. But with that being said, I think you've driven hundreds of different types, different power levels, right?
Yeah. I'm not scared to drive either. I'm scared to drive. Of course, you have to be scared to drive at a certain point in someone else's vehicle because they're putting a lot of trust in you to make sure that you're handling that vehicle like it's their own, like it's your own vehicle, which I do. I never do anything stupid in anyone's vehicle, and I don't do anything stupid in my vehicle, especially on the streets. What were you gonna say?
No. I mean, I think we're going a little off tangent.
Well,
yeah. You're right. You should respect the customer's vehicle as if it were your own vehicle. But you don't proclaim to be an expert, but you've driven quite a few of these cars, right? And let's go back to what I was saying about the whole age thing, right? When I was younger, and the older crowd, right? Like the old heads, the guys now that are in their 50s, 60s, and even 70s. That's how old I am.
Yeah.
When they were my age, 35, 40, the E30s, the E46s, they were like, this is the pedestal. This is the epitome of the true, the ultimate driving experience, right? And I always looked at them and I was like, what in the actual is wrong with these guys, right? Like, you have faster cars that are, they look nicer.
More modern
Vehicles, given the time period that we're talking about. So, but then as I got older, you learn to realize, wow, those E30s, the E46s, they carry actual class, right? And it's not just about, having the speed that's in them. And I'm going to go off on a tangent here real quick. I could be wrong. Someone in the comments had mentioned something about the instrument cluster in an F80 being handmade compared to your computer screen, which, by the way, full disclosure, I absolutely hate the iDrive 8. I hate it.
Yeah.
I was low-key upset when we found out that our G80 was going from a 2022 to a 2023. Yeah. If it went beyond June 30th, it would flip over to a 23, and it did. So I don't like the iDrive 8.
It was really right on the cusp, but yeah. I agree. I mean, I've never once claimed I love my G80. I've just said I have a G80. And of course, it is from a business perspective that I have the G80. We even call it that it's the ugliest thing that we have.
Yeah, I think the car is hideous. I'd rather a Porsche,
honestly,
but I can't afford one.
I'm not debating what you guys were saying about, you got to send your DME to Femto to get unlocked. Granted, I 100% get you. I'm just saying that one of the common failures of the S55 was the crank hub.
Yes. Now, let's go back to that instrument cluster. I don't know where this person got their information. The instrument clusters
I don't remember seeing
in an F80. Oh, it's there.
I remember seeing something about an instrument cluster.
F80, F82, F83,
F87,
F87, F84, F83, F87 does not have a handmade instrument cluster. So whoever said that, you don't know nothing about anything.
Probably someone on the forums that they saw or something.
Well, that's the first problem. Everything on the internet must be true. And then, all these other guys came at us and said, oh, well, car and driver or Edmunds. I really don't care, who claim that, the F87 M2 is one of the fastest cars or all around, right? One of the best M cars, which I strongly disagree with. I don't hate the F80 as much as you do.
I just think there's too many failures, in my opinion. Again, if we look at each M vehicle, I guarantee you that there's going to be the same thing. But because of what we have seen and experienced, I think that is why I just don't like them.
Also,
just like I don't like M54s, just like I don't like M55s, but I'm not going to sit here and go about every single thing that I hate. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, I personally think the worst M car, because that's what I literally said, is the S55. The worst engine that they put in an M car was the S55. Yes, granted. In the E92, you have the rod bearing issues. You have the main bearing issues. You have the throttle actuator. Same with the S85. You have the same things because they're the same engine plus 2 cylinders. I get that. There's so many different issues within all these different vehicles, and I'm sure within the next couple of years, once these people, including myself, because I'm not going to not include myself, with the G8X platform, there's going to be issues that arise on this platform as well. I'm not including it. I'm just saying for right now, because I'm not pushing all this crazy power, there's not many big concerns.
Yeah, but let's not make a repeat, right? Let's try to reference actual comments that were made, right?
No,
so,
obviously.
all right, it's been determined. You absolutely hate the F80, F82, F83, F87.
I don't absolutely
S55. Now let's take your opinion out of it, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back to the comments now, and we'll work with actual facts, which is hard for that young generation. Someone had stated the crank hub failure. You can have an opinion, like we said earlier in this episode, but The crank hub design is similar to the N55. The S55 is a carryover, a large amount of parts, and the design principle was carried over from the N55. So BMW stopped really, it's not like the E90, E92, E93, M3, right, with a brand new 4-liter V8 that was built from the ground up, right? So BMW borrowed a lot of these design principles from the N55 into the S55. Yes, the crank up design is similar. However, they're still two completely different blocks, right? So you had a lot of stock vehicles, and this is the biggest problem with the internet. Because it's on the internet, it must be true. But what no one wants to talk about are the statistics that don't exist for all the folks who blew up a stock S55 crank hub that did not go on the internet. Right? So, and we get this all day on the repair side of things, right? Oh, well, I went on the forums. Oh, well, I found this thread. And it's like, dude, I don't give a what you read on the forums, right? I had one guy this past week trying to, I went on the forums, and how many times have you seen this? I don't know. I need to see the car.
Yeah.
Got to diagnose the car. So you can't go on to a database that has all of these guys in their what do you call them, tags, whatever you call them.
Like their handles?
Your handles, and they list the mods, the mileage, and the failure, what the stock hub was replaced with. That is an absolute horrible reference of data for actual failures in the S55 crank hub. Now, with that being said, yes, it is true. The more power you throw at it, the more likely you are to actually spin that hub. That is a fact. But at the end of the day, if we're going to take emotion out of it and compare an S58 one-piece crankshaft and an S55 crank hub, there's no comparison. This is simple physics, guys. There's just no comparison, right? And we had one guy who tried to say that an F87 M2 comp, right, not the N55, so M2 comp with the S55, would do better on autocross than an M240, a G42, or even an F22.
Opinion.
It's like, what? You have no control of the front drive axle in the M2 comp. I don't care how much power you have. You're not going to outperform a bone stock B58 M240 on an autocross setup. It's just not going to happen.
A lot of these guys just, again, it's opinion, and I just think they're not taking emotion out of it, and they're just like, oh my god, I'm a F8X fanboy or fangirl, whatever it may be, and that's fine. You can like your vehicle. I hope you love your vehicle. Just because you love it doesn't mean other people have to love it. Just because you are so wholeheartedly enthused by something doesn't mean someone else is enthused by it as well. Matt and I have different things that we're enthused about. Doesn't mean I'm going to persuade him and make him be on the same page as I am about the S55.
Yeah, I mean, I would take an S55 and I would put it into an E30. It's been done.
But that's a cool swap. You know what I mean? But that would also be like a specific non-daily driver vehicle.
And not only has it been done, it was done, I think, by someone sponsored it, one of those big companies, and it was done with a bunch of high school kids or college level kids that were in tech school. And
that's cool.
They swapped an S55 into an E30 chassis. I don't know if it was an E30M or a non-M, but I do know that there is an S55 swapped E30. And I would take that all day over an F80, over an F82, or an F87. And for the guys who, yes, the rod bearings in an E9X M3, the S65, the rod bearings did have problems.
An S85.
Yeah, but that thing that's more of like,
it was a luxury chill car.
Well, yeah. It
wasn't.
M5 was, M6s, those were more of like, you could make it into a track tool, but so.
I don't think I've ever seen.
The S65, back to the rod bearings, yes, they're problematic. Throttle actuator's problematic. But that's about it. I mean, those cars were pretty stout for what you had to do to maintain them and get them on the road and keep them on the road.
Case in point, we have 150,000 miles, 152,000 miles on our E92, and all we've done is basic maintenance. Yeah,
but we got it with 82, and the rod bearings were done already.
Right,
so.
But that's the thing. If you do the preventative maintenance, I get it. You're pretty good in the clear. But what I'm trying to say is we never did any performance enhancements to the vehicle either.
Yeah, I mean, it's got an intake, I think, and
But
an exhaust.
we didn't do that until way later.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to get at, back to the rod bearings. Let's stay on the rod bearings. And the mains. So again, you can't use the internet for a reference point for data on failures. You'll never have a control because you just don't have all the actual input you need to get your statistics. You get a pretty good idea, but you're not going to get exact numbers. There is a guy out there that put together a list of all the vehicles. I want to say LCI or pre-LCI rather, S55s. Keep going by the chassis code, where position 1 main bearing will spin and the engine seizes, and he found a correlation between the vehicles that have auto start stop and the vehicles that don't, right? So that was interesting, but he wasn't sitting there going every single, now granted, position 1 main bearing spun on an auto start stop, you're looking at, it's apples to oranges to a crank up, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at an actual design flaw versus, a design flaw in supporting hardware as far as auto start stop, right? Because you could technically, that M3 doesn't have auto start stop.
Right.
That E92 in the background there. So every single S55 came with the same crank cup.
Yeah.
Right. So apples to oranges, but you can't just reference all the data you see online. And the last thing I want to talk about are all those comments that said, who's paying $4,000 for a crank cup? Well, I don't know where you live, probably in the middle of nowhere in Nebraska. But let me explain something to you about the, what's the word I'm looking for? The microeconomics of the tri-state area? New Jersey, New York.
Pennsylvania.
I won't even say that. No, because if you think about it, you can go an hour west of here and get a cheaper price.
Probably.
You can go an hour north of New York City, an hour south of New York City, and an hour, I don't know, Long Island is like the same as here. So we can't even say east. But, Passaic County, Bergen County, Morris County, Hudson County, the 5 boroughs, Westchester, Orange, Connecticut, right across the border in Connecticut. It's $80 with 2 burgers and a beer. So you go to these shops and,
I think they also took it wrong what I was saying. I was saying $4,000 between the crank hub and the labor costs. I think they thought that was just labor.
Hold on. You have shops that are charging $1,750 all in for crank hubs.
That makes no sense to me, but okay.
Now, in all fairness, 4N,
what crank hub are you putting in?
4N has a crank hub that does not require the oil pan to come out, and it can be done correctly. However, that just came out.
What is the percentage of people installing them correctly?
No, it's not that. I think you're looking at it the wrong way. I'm talking about the internet. We'll go and see, all right, so 4N has a crank hub that requires you don't have to drop the actual oil pan and pull the subframe out. You don't have to spend the extra 8, 9, 10 hours to pull apart the front end of the vehicle and the frame and everything to get a drill bit in there. So, or rather be able to get the debris out, when you start drilling that actual crankshaft. You don't want to get any of that metal shavings, those metal shavings into the oil pan. So $1,750 is the price to do a crank hub at a lot of places, and a lot of these shops aren't dropping the oil pan, right? And now forget about the fact that you can do it on some of these kits. You can do it without pulling the oil pan, but
how do you know you're not getting any of those metal shavings anywhere where they're not supposed to go? That's my question.
No, I'm referencing the 4N kit can be done without dropping the oil pan. I'm talking about all the shops that are doing these installs on a Gintani crank hub, and they're not pulling the oil pan.
But that's what I'm saying. How do you not pull the oil pan when you do an insane crank hub or SSR or Gintani? How do you not pull the oil pan and know 100% fact that you're not getting any metal shavings anywhere?
You don't.
But that's my reference point. That's what I meant. So it's like, okay, are you going to, one, half-ass the job, no offense, by not pulling the oil pan and then risking possibly something happening to that engine?
Oh, there is a large amount of S55s that are blown up because
I understand that.
Of your metal material that comes from your crank hub job, and then 2 months later your engine takes a shit.
How many engines have we pulled the oil from and sent the oil analysis out, and we've seen metal in the oil pans?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, in relation to our area and the cost of getting these jobs done, it is all day. minimum, you're looking at $2,500, right? And that's bare bones. That's nothing else. That's just going in there and doing a crank hub. And a lot of the times, all right, for example, right? Fuck it. We'll make this the one comment that I'll make that might light up people and get them a little butthurt. January 1st, you bring your car to a shop, 2025. Car has 20,000 miles. You did the valve cover gasket 5,000 miles ago. Why in the actual would you reuse that valve cover gasket?
You're not going to pay the $30 to get a new valve cover gasket?
Nope.
Why? This is the things that confuse me. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is why a lot of people got upset because, again, parts and labor was when I was referencing, okay, yeah, maybe $4,000 was like me rounding up, but it's generally, I would think, $3,500.
I would say $2,750 to $35 is what you should expect to pay in this geographical
But that's also
area.
before, I would say before taxes too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying all in taxes and everything is $3,500. I'm just saying it was a roundabout number that I threw out there because we have seen different estimates for crank hub jobs.
Yeah, and I mean, you should also do, obviously your oil pan gasket, valve cover
That's what I'm
gasket,
saying.
and then
That's not
I mean,
just the crank hub and labor.
Hold on. The other problem is all these shops that are doing the work, and all right, so you're going to do the crank hub on an S55 that has 100,000 miles, right? Why wouldn't you do the timing chains, the guide rails,
You're in there.
your oil pump tensioner,
Common failure.
guide
Especially at the
chains,
high mileage.
why wouldn't you just do it, right? So, yeah, I mean,
I think people just get butthurt because I'm also a female and I'm quote unquote yapping on here. And
yeah, well, I'm not a female, and if you have 100,000 miles on your S55, you do the crank hub, and your shop is not doing the timing chains and the guide rails and the tensioner.
Wait, or at least just even, what is the word I'm thinking of right now? Recommending you to do it, right? I could understand if the customer is wholeheartedly denying, I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. But if the shop is recommending it, there's obviously a reason behind it, right? You have X amount of miles. I can understand if you had 5,000 miles on your vehicle, right? Obviously, there's no need to do the timing and all that stuff. But if you're coming in with close to 100,000 miles, it's never been changed since you got the vehicle. Oil pan gasket 100% should be done because I think you should drop the oil pan just to ensure that there's no metal shavings when you're doing the crank hub. But
well, that's if you use a kit that requires,
right, obviously.
You have to pull it. But a lot of those folks out there that run these shops, they don't recommend it because they already know the customers are going to say no. And they just want to, let's put that profit from that crank hub to take the 1750 and just run with it, right? And we're not going to, all right, whatever, he doesn't want to do X, Y, and Z, who cares? Let's just make the 1750 and move on to the next one. For example, we're doing an S55 build, right? And we didn't pull the engine. Customer bought the engine to us in an actual U-Haul, and we're just, discussing particulars of the build as the engine's literally in pieces behind Elyse over there. We'll get to that literally in the next 2 minutes. But I said, oh, hey, mileage, X, Y, and Z. And I said, listen, what are we doing about these chains and guide rails and your tensioner? And he looks at me, what do you advise? I said, I'm not going to build this engine unless we replace it.
Yeah. There's obviously certain things like certain ancillaries that we believe that you 100% should change. You're going in there and we're doing all this work anyway, right? It's not like I'm adding it on to make more money off of you because that's not how we work. We work because we want to honestly see people produce these, like build these cars or get these cars back built 100% of the way done correctly and make sure that they quote unquote, obviously lasting is a questionable term because obviously it depends on the abuse that the car is going to go through. But yeah, like I couldn't sit there knowingly that we're going to build an engine to make high power specifically on this S55 and put in the old chain tensioners.
Well, I just, why would you build an engine? Why would you spend the money on, your rotating assembly, your head gasket, your head studs, your main studs?
Shit's expensive.
You got all the labor cost at the machine shop, our labor to do the tear down, put it back together. Why would you not just replace your guide rail? and your timing chains.
It makes no sense to me.
And your tensioner. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me either. So it is what it is. Unlike her, I just don't care. You could say whatever you want to say. An opinion is an opinion, you know, but then you have the actual facts. And, you know, we're not sitting here claiming that, you know, we actually like the G80. The G80's fast, but yeah, you know, I called you out in the last episode and I said the F80 probably has more of a soul than the G80 does, right? I
think it's lacking. In my opinion, it's lacking. Yeah, great, cool, it's fast. Again, I'm coming from an E92 M3. I think it's lacking. I drive
the leather is horrible in that car.
Yeah,
it's been 25,000 miles, and that is no longer Fiona Red. It's like a dark version of Fiona Red,
and
right?
it's ceramic coated.
And I've been doing this a long time. I've seen. Well, yeah, you shouldn't ceramic coat your leather. Yeah, I mean,
it's a daily driven car. So
well,
that's
no, well we. All right, so you shouldn't ceramic coat leather because it has to breathe. But yeah, no, your argument is actually, you know, in your support, you ceramic coat it, you would expect to not have to worry about your color transferring over from, you know, your black pants or your jeans to your actual seats. So
yeah,
a little disappointing on the
I just
leather
think
in the G80.
I think that there's, again, I've never said I love the G80. I said it's nice. Yes, it's modern. It's new. I think there's a lot of things that I'm still like not, like I don't, overall, I'm just not obsessed with it. You know what I mean? I got it obviously because it's good for business to say like I have a G80 and that we can market it. That's pretty much the only reason I think we got it from a business perspective. But if you're asking me what car I truly love driving, the E92 was so much more fun of a car to drive, obviously, before it went down. The E46 M3 that's behind Matt, that thing is more fun to drive. I think that has a soul and handles great. But yeah, these newer cars, I just don't think they do anything for me. And again, like Matt said, I've driven so many vehicles. Manual, automatic, DCT. DCT, forget about it. I hate DCT. But anyway, I have driven so many vehicles. The G80 just lacks. Great, cool, it's fast. I could go fast on the track, cool. It's not snug. It doesn't handle snug for me. And I like that tight feeling when I'm driving.
And anyone that tries to compare the chassis of an E90, E92, E93 to an F80.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, go home. There's something mentally wrong with you up in your head. I don't care how fast the cars are on a track. It's just, you cannot compare the actual chassis on an E90, E92. Now let's keep the convertibles out. They're heavy, they're fat, right? But so is the F83. So whatever. But you can't compare that chassis to an F chassis M3, M4. You just can't. The M2 might get close because it's so light and that wheelbase is so short. But there's something about driving an E90, right? I prefer the four doors. I want to say the balance is closer to 50-50 than the E92, but there's nothing like an E90 M3. I mean, there's something wrong in your head if you try to compare
point
it
and
to
go with it. In my personal opinion, like you could take a turn so fast in the E92, in my personal opinion, and you just feel secure. Like you feel sturdy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's a combination. I think you took what I said the wrong way.
I'm just saying that.
Hold on, let me finish. Hold on. Slow your roll. That is a completely different. You're two power plants, right? One has no torque, one has a bunch of torque. So what's the purpose of driving the car, right? Is it just enjoying it on the highway or on the track?
I've never taken the E92 on the track, so I don't know.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying. What I'm trying to, I think you took what I said the wrong way as far as, I'm not going to give an opinion here, right? You come into a turn and you're doing a $140 in, an F82 versus F82, E92, M4, M3. You might have more fun in that F82. It's got way more torque on tap, right? So when you come out of that turn and you're ready to go 100% on the throttle to balls to the wall, it's just, I don't think you can compare the experience and the all around, the speed, the handling. Yeah, the F82 is going to win. There you go. I'm being honest with you. But it's more about checking all the boxes, right? being able to control the back end on an E92 M3, E90 M3, it feels sturdier. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain. It does have, some weight to it with, the V8 up front, but you just can't compare them. You just can't.
Again, these are our opinions. People just have problems with our opinions.
Yeah, and most always will, but it is what it is. So
what can you do?
We'll leave it at that. Yeah, and I mean, like I said before, I mean, I know you get a little like, oh my God, he or she said it. I just don't give a fuck. I genuinely don't.
I just think I honestly think it's hilarious at the end of the day because it's like people just have an opinion about everything and they think that they're right. Sorry, opinion's not the right word. People just think that they're right when they just don't have anything to go off of it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And, for what it's worth, we got, for everyone out there who's like, oh, wow, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I have no clue what I'm talking about. We're building an S55, and luckily the driver is someone who takes the car out and actually drives it, right? This is not something that's going to come out a couple times a year. He's going to drive this vehicle, so
sure it's daily driven.
I'll make sure when that engine build is done on the S55 that we're building in-house, I'll make sure that I call out every single S55 owner. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, cool. Go see the guy that owns the car, and then come back and let me know. I mean, in theory, it should be the world's
fastest
and most powerful manual transmission F82 M4. So stay tuned. Now, with that being said...
Oh, wait. Hold on. One more thing I forgot to mention. People also, I think, in the comments kept forgetting that my car's a manual and they thought I was driving an automatic G80. An automatic all-wheel drive G80. And I'm so confused because I've never once stated that I had a all-wheel drive automatic G80. I've always said that I have a base 6-speed manual.
Yeah, and...
which is rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, and, the other thing is the whole DCT. Someone actually said DCT was the best thing ever made. Wow. So, I'm lost. I don't know what to say to that.
Speechless.
Yeah, I'm speechless. I get it, right? So if you lost your left foot, right, and it got blown up, I feel bad for you. Whatever, you can't use your left foot. All right, go get a DCT. I get it.
Or
So you have the experience,
condition, like Parkinson's or whatever it may be, that you cannot physically use like your muscles the way you're supposed to.
Yeah, and I think you should, enjoy what an actual clutch feels like because a DCT has a clutch, like a manual transmission does. But you can't compare a DCT to the autos in, a G80 or any of the new ZFs. You can't. The 8-speeds, just no left foot will ever shift as fast.
Also,
why not just go get a manual? That's where I'm confused. The DCT is the best transmission ever made. What the actual
Also, you can also verify this, fact check this. I have been driving. Let me repeat this. I have been driving manual since before I even had a permit. So for people to say on here some useless bullshit, it just makes no sense to me.
Well, let it go. Let it go. It is what it is. But yeah, no, if you like the DCT and you're going to be a DCT fanboy, just go get a manual. You do not know how to drive stick.
It's just much more fun, in my opinion.
No, it's not about being more fun. It's just,
But I've always thought manual was fun. I've always enjoyed being in control of the vehicle.
Yeah, but I'm looking at it more from an all around, right? So you're more opinionated than I am when it comes to this stuff, right? And I respect that. But I'm trying to angle it as far as saying all right, SMG was a nightmare.
Oh my God, I hated SMG.
All right, so the DCT is an evolution of that and is much better, right? The DCT is much better in design and operation, in cost of ownership compared to an SMG. But nope, doesn't do it for me. Though I can't. All the F80s, F82s, F87s.
It lags too.
No. Compared to the SMG, no. Right?
No, I'm talking about
compared to an auto. Yes, you'll never shift faster than a ZF8. I'm talking about getting out of the car. You have to put it in park. You need to
put it in first gear.
I don't know what you call it.
Yeah,
It just,
so DCT, you got to put
let
it
me
in
finish.
first
Let me
gear and
finish.
then-
Hold on. Let me finish. You can't get out of the car and just go.
Yeah.
You need to do something with either the shifter or the start-stop button. Otherwise, when you go to lock the car, the horn honks, and it's
Starts
annoying.
noise,
It makes
yeah.
a but. Yeah, no, it doesn't make. It just honks at you. The car honks and says not.
No, the light, like inside, it beeps at you. The
No.
dash beeps at you.
The
Yes,
dash does not beep. I'm telling you, the dash
it
doesn't beep.
dings. It dings.
Well, yeah, inside the car. I'm talking about.
When you get out, yeah.
Get out of the
also
car.
honk.
You lock
Yeah,
the
yes,
car. I'm just
obviously.
saying that it honks the horn at you, and I don't like that. You take a G80 for example. You just get out of the car.
Put the e-brake
The
on.
second you no, you don't have to.
You don't have to, but you should.
No, I'm talking about auto.
Oh, I thought you were talking about manual. Sorry. Well, you were comparing
no,
DCT to
come on,
manual.
Come on, get with
Sorry.
it. No. I'm talking about DCT to an auto, right? The guys that
yeah.
like the DCTs, it's not for me. No.
Listen,
In the auto,
we're
you
never
just get out, you just hit the button, you turn off the car, and it's in park.
We're never going
That's
to
it.
please everyone, so it's fine. But the next topic on the board is going to be episode 4, where we had Ryan, our friend Ryan, who worked for Unknown Dealer.
Oh yeah, what happened in that episode?
So a lot of people got offended because I had brought up about the badges, about people putting M badges on their vehicles that are non-M vehicles. So again, opinion. I brought it up because dealer, us, we see a lot of things. So people had a problem. People, I think, called us racist.
Oh, let me get on that real quick. So I made a statement. So Elyse was talking to Ryan about, the M, and I think she worded it wrong because, an X3 M40i, all right, cool, you get an M badge, whatever. But the guys that have an X5, like the 40i,
Or 330.
and they'll
330.
go and get an M badge. They'll call us for an M badge, and they want to put the M badge next to the X5 on the back of the truck, so it looks
Right.
It doesn't look. I take it back. Some guys will go do the quad tips and do everything, but they just wanted to say X5M, but you have a B58. It's not an X5M.
Or people who have a 328 or a 330 or whatever it may
So-
be, and they put the M badge.
She had clarified to me what she meant when she said M230s, M330s. I said, hey, what's that? And I had made a statement, the Dominican special. So, yeah, I'm just a dumb mechanic, right? But be very careful what you call me. So we had a comment that said, the one guy was cool. I just
Yeah.
said, hey, listen, dude, I'm half Spanish.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
like,
we both are Spanish.
so it's okay. No. That's not where we're going with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I just simply said, listen, there's no correlation. We're Spanish here, right? I call the G80 Puerto Rican purple all the time
literally.
because it's got a little bit of Puerto Rican yellow, Puerto Rican red, some green flakes, some purple flakes, some teal flakes. So the one guy said, well, because you're Puerto Rican, it's okay to be racist. And I shut him down and I said, slow the fuck up. I made a generalized stereotype that was a joke.
Yeah.
There was no malice. There was no prejudice.
It was literally just a fun joke that we make.
Hold on a second. We make jokes all the time.
Yeah.
But there's a fine line between calling someone a racist or accusing someone of racism.
Yeah.
There's two completely different definitions for a generalized stereotype, okay,
Yeah.
that's meant without malice, simply as a joke. Sure, call it off color. Sure, call me an asshole, but don't call me a racist.
Right.
Right? So the guys out there who determine that that is a definition of racism are probably the people who are part of that woke culture, right? And I'm not down with that. We've said it from episode 1 before we aired first episode. We just don't give a there's right and there's wrong, and you cannot go around and call someone a racist who makes a generalized stereotype without malice, without prejudice. It doesn't work.
And without knowing anything.
So anyway,
the background to it.
So that was the whole situation we had with the guy who said, "Oh, you're a racist." No, I'm not.
Neither of us are. And again, like Matt said, we're both Spanish, so it makes no sense. And it wasn't there was no ill will by it either, because like we just crack jokes all the time.
Well, just to clarify real quick, so that no one misconstrues this in the comments and decides to eat you up. It wasn't a defense as far as or accusation you're a racist. We're not saying it's okay to be racist, or you can't be a racist because you are of the same ethnic background. You can definitely be a racist. You can be bigoted toward, a particular ethnic group of people and still be that same ethnicity. You can still, by definition, be a racist. It wasn't my defense. I simply made a statement to someone who just said, "Hey, why are you coming at Dominicans?" And I said, "Yeah, relax. We're Spanish here."
Yeah.
So that wasn't a defense to an accusation of racism. So let's not
love the Dominican Republic anyway.
Let's just not get that misconstrued here, right? But the problem is we have a new generation of people who it's just they politicize everything, and you come in here with that. No, get the out of here with that woke. Absolutely not, please, because it doesn't fly with me. And it. I mean, those guys out there that, you want to make a generalized stereotype about someone without malice, without prejudice? It's probably the same dudes out there that go, yeah, it's cool. So, yeah, you're born a male, become a female, you can join the female swim. No, you can't. I respect you. You should be given every right that every human being has. But no, you don't walk around politicizing stuff and coming up with your own definitions for what racism is.
It was not how it was meant. It was just like a funny joke. And again, if we had said something that was like derogatory, I could understand, but there was nothing derogatory about the statement. Like
but because
the
we're not
Dominican special.
We're just not like that.
Yeah.
No, I don't judge you for the color of your skin, where you came from, where you were born, what you went through. Absolutely not. That's the problem that we have in this world too, and that's what's creating that entire festering that whole attitude of, oh wow, someone makes a generalized stereotype, they must be a racist. Absolutely not. You can't. There's no correlation there. So yeah, there's that. What's next?
Shop projects, buddy. Currently, a few things we're working on. Just gonna go down the list. Matt will stop me as I go down the list. As you can see behind me right here, not this one, this one. I have an S58 engine on the stand. This is for the F80 G83 M4 that came to us from Texas. It got hydrolocked. Customer went through water. Unfortunately, has to get an engine put in and a whole bunch of other things. We ended up finding a used engine with low mileage. Came out of G87, right? M2. Mm-hmm. So if you didn't know, G87 M2 is rear-wheel drive. His vehicle, our customer's vehicle, is all-wheel drive. Oil pans are different. Oil pumps are different. Suction tube is different. The tray, windage tray, whatever you want to call it, for the oil pump between the girdle and the oil pump is different. There were so many things that were different. So basically, had to take some of the old things that were still good, clean them up, put them in. I've been running point on that, resealing it. We have the oil pump in, windage tray in, girdle in. Oil pans in. What else am I missing? Suction tube is in.
I think you covered everything. We gotta finish sealing the
top end of it.
The top end, get the turbos on, the water lines, and then get the trans on, and then
top end is already torqued. Everything's basically torqued from top to bottom. Just we don't have like the ancillary stuff in, like the pumps, the high pressure fuel pumps need to go in, the lines like Matt just said. And then hopefully we'll have that out within the next week or so. Fingers crossed. We have the two 335s that are still in. I'll let Matt take point on that one because he's been running point on that car.
So 335s, we got the black one pretty much done. We actually drove that car for the first time the other day. Sounds great. Got to hammer out a few little details on it to, we keep working backward based off the previous shop that did the work, and it's just becoming a nightmare. But we're almost there. And then, unfortunately, we need to get the other 335, which hasn't moved at all since the last episode because we are waiting to get, one 335 at a time because I can only handle one of those cars in my head on the same day. But get the gray one back on the lift, and that one we'll keep you posted, but it looks like it has a leak in head gasket.
Possibly.
We just don't know. And We didn't do that engine build. We don't think it's necessarily an issue with the engine builder. It very well could be an issue with either the head gasket has failed, was defective, or we have a problem with the
Which
core.
is not the first time we've seen it either.
We have a problem with the core that we're supplied for the engine build. That's also a problem. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that, but it needs to be done. So hopefully we can get that, next week, at some point next week, get that in the lift, get the black one out, get the gray one on. So that's that. We have let's zone in on the last two topics of today, the S55 and the B58. So this is to give you guys some insight into the patience that you need, the wherewithal to build an engine. So this S55 came to us in early October, and we tore it down like the next day, 2 days in.
Early October?
Yeah, it was early October.
Gosh, it feels so long ago.
Yeah, it's working on 4 or 5 months now because when we did the teardown, the cylinder head was no good. We had 2 plugs that snapped off in the actual cylinder head, and then we had
There were cracks.
the biggest issue we had was the craters. The craters. On
I was being nice when I said cracks.
exhaust valves, and these cracks run all the way up to the spark plug threads, right? So,
which is a common issue if you look at used S55 heads.
oh yeah,
That's a very common issue. And people who say like, oh, it's okay to use a cylinder head that looks like that, I'm concerned for you.
well, it is a common problem, and you would need to do it on a case-by-case basis. But yes, everything we've came across so far that, all the sellers say is, you can fix this cylinder head. No, you can't. Are you kidding me? What? No, we need to find a good cylinder head. And unfortunately, a new cylinder head is $8,500, and it doesn't make sense. So anyone that has a good used S50, I mean, none right now at this moment,
there's none.
None exist, right? So,
and every engine that we have looked at, like used engine that's on the side, obviously there's an issue with the oil pan, which is fine. We've had no issue. We have no issues if there's an issue only with the oil pan, or like, again, crank hub came out of the oil pan, whatever it may be, because we've seen those. But every time we've disassembled the engines, they've come with heads that are just
yeah, so let's flip back to the S55 cylinder head issue. I don't know. I've seen a lot of them, and again, I'm not going to proclaim to be all-knowing in this area, but in design, it's very similar to the N55 cylinder head, and there is a thought process out there. There is an assumption that, when you run the burbles, because really the issue with those cracks is heat. There's too much heat, so those burbles are destroying, allegedly, those exhaust valves, or the seats rather, and that's when those cracks go from those valve seats all the way to your spark plug threads. And that's only the first problem. The other issue is going to be your cam journals, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, because we've also had issues with those.
So the N55, I've seen those heads crack too on the N55s, but if we're going to just do, again, a basic, and we don't have all the data, we never will have all the data, because a lot of people blow these engines up and engine gets tossed in the garbage, they buy another car, and we don't have that data to put into our statistics. So while the N54s and N55s have those issues, the S55 just takes the leap. You're talking about it's almost in every single S55 cylinder head that was running higher power and tuned
E85
has those issues with the exhaust valve seats when it cracks and goes all the way up to the spark plug threads. You can get away using that head if it's a tiny crack, but everything out there,
it's like spider web.
It's visible. It's visible from 10 feet away from my phone or my computer screen when I'm looking at these pictures. The cam journals. That's a big problem no one wants to talk about, and we're going to talk about it briefly. And we'll probably get eaten up again, but whatever. It. Why would you sell a used cylinder head for $4,000, $35, $27? And why would you say damaged cam journals, you can line bore it? You can line bore it. You can line bore it and get away with it. Yeah, you can. You can. Do you know the right way to do it? The right way to do that, you just go get a new head. The amount of time and money you're going to spend to line bore your cam journal. What? And then all these shops that are machine shops, engine shops, that are claiming that they can go ahead and no. Just so you know, if you don't have a factory spec on that line bore, you are going to two things. You're going to destroy the engine, right? You're going to destroy the cam, and you're going to drop that valve lower. What? It's fixable. No. The guys on eBay and CarPart, it's fixable. You just some aluminum on there and line bore it. No, don't do that, because the right way to do it, it would cost more than a new head. If you take into consideration the cost on the used head, the cost to line bore it the right way, which I'm going to say can only be done by probably 10 guys in this entire country. Why? Just go get a new head. So, anywho, we are, and the irony is, the cylinder head that we have here off the actual car, cam drones are mint. Intake, exhaust cam, mint. Beautiful. 2 plugs broke off, and we have cracks on all 6 of those valve seats all the way up the spark plug thread. So that cylinder head is trash. So huge shout out to the customer for being patient, and he knows it's only one way to do it. It's got to get done right. So we are patiently waiting. Once we get a head for that engine, we can go on and reassemble everything, get everything sent out to the machine shop, get the rotating assembly in, and then get that engine buttoned up and give it back to the owner.
Yep.
So the last thing that we have on the list for today is going to be the B58.
Gen 2 B58.
Gen 2 B58. Another customer that deserves a huge shout out for patience, because we're now beyond, our original, not crazy, just by maybe a week or two at this point, but.
Well, original ETA 1 parts were supposed to be in.
Yeah.
Not completion of engine.
And I don't want to get too in detail on the failure. It's not worth it, right? No. I'll leave it up to the customer to discuss what actually failed and caused that engine failure, if and when that time comes, if he chooses to do so. But, and I don't want to get too in detail as far as what we're exactly doing in that just yet. But it will be an engine built for 1,500 horsepower, and it will be, it'll be fast. And all I'll say is we're waiting on pistons, if that makes any sense. We're waiting on pistons.
Yep.
I think we had a slight miscommunication with the manufacturer. We thought the stock bore was in stock, and unfortunately it wasn't. So if you guys,
else was not in stock, so now we have to wait for that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, before the end of the month.
And if you followed our videos, you'll put 2 and 2 together. But yeah, we got a bunch of really cool GSC valve train parts for that. We got
valves.
We got sleeves. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
We got sleeves. And we got a big turbo and a nice turbo kit. So that's going to be one powerful M340 when it's done.
Yeah.
That's going to be a really
cool build too, to document as well.
Yo, no, we're going to document the absolute of that. It's just we're sitting here. What's that meme where Pablo Escobar has his hands behind his back in one of his big pools?
And he's walking.
And he goes, waiting for car parts to arrive. Yeah, that's how we feel right now, except, we're not waiting for a shipment like Pablo is. They're waiting for pistons. So it is what it is.
It is a pretty good shipment.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's expensive, that's for sure. I don't know if it's going to be on par with the price of Colombian Bam Bam, but
oh my God, not again.
It's pretty expensive. So yeah, we're kind of we're dead in the water here on both of these engine builds as we sit here today.
Besides the S58, yeah.
Yeah, besides the heart transplant and the G83.
Oh.
What?
What were you going to say?
What were you going to say?
I was going to talk about E46.
The white one?
Yes.
Oh my God. We got to get the exhaust buttoned up. That's really it.
Yeah, but
get a detail.
For people who don't know and haven't been following us for that long of a time, it was actually the first engine I've ever worked on and learned to work on, and disassembled, learned how to assemble. So. Oh
yeah, you got a comment. So we kind of dropped the balls. We dropped the ball on documenting. I had the video footage. We have 4 episodes that I planned to shoot, and I shot all 4 and only produced 2 of them. So I still have the raw footage. That's when I was full retard, and I shot that on iPhone.
Yeah.
I shot that in ProRes on iPhone before we had these cinema cameras. Never again. But anyway, I have the footage. I'll get episodes 3 and 4 done at some point. But you had a comment about the flip-flops and another comment about...
I should be using a torque wrench.
Hold on. Let me finish.
I saw that too.
Let me finish. So this guy says, I use a torque wrench to tear down an engine so I know the torque. And this is the problem, right, with, I don't know if it's a generational, but I don't know what the fuck is going on in this world, but
And he
why don't you ask for context? Because the engine you were tearing down in that shot was a trashed block.
Yeah.
The engine was done.
We
it was
weren't
toast.
saving much from there.
That was right? So why would we...
It was more so for the learning experience, and I think that's what people got confused about, which is fine. Again, you can have your opinion. Granted, we weren't planning. Like, we did not plan it in advance, which is why I had flip-flops on. If you see more recent things, you see I obviously have better workwear and footwear on.
Yeah, but you're also not sitting here advocating to do the without flip-flops, right? If you were to have a large, heavy item fall on your foot, right? Number one, I'd be the first person to tell you, you're f***ing idiot, you're f***ing stupid, you f***ed up, you could walk yourself to the hospital now, and then you would say, hey, listen, by the way, I don't condone this.
Yeah.
And I was wrong.
Yeah. But I saw that comment the other day, those 2 comments the other day. But yeah, the S54 is the first engine I've worked on, disassembled, assembled. It was definitely cool. This E46 M3 here has upgraded pistons, rods. We redid the Vanos.
Fully rebuilt.
Yeah.
So
Like
you know what?
toe.
You know what? We should probably hurry up and get this car back on the road ASAP. I mean, we would like to get it out for the springtime completely done, but you should get this car done like quickly. Because you know how the internet is, right?
Yeah.
Shit gets old, people forget. You should get it done and then call out everyone. But like, I don't know what I'm talking about. F you.
Yeah, for real.
You come here and build an engine, right?
Yeah.
So
Talk about something tedious to learn. I think that's tedious to learn.
So the S54, right? Building an S54 and building an S58, B58, S55, same but different. And what I mean by that is the S54 is way more tedious than building
I feel like
a
there's so many little
B58
pieces.
Well, the issue with the S54 is you have your Vano system,
Yeah.
which is extremely intricate,
Yeah.
right? And there's a lot of attention to detail that goes into replacing your or even servicing your Vanos, right? Now,
I feel like I've serviced so many of them now, and I'm just like so numb to it.
but where I'm going with this is, even though the S54 is tedious, right, because of its Vanos, I don't know. I'm weird, right? I mean, cast iron, it's heavy, but it's easier. It's a much easier engine to build, right? And I know, yeah, you're going to call me a hypocrite. I am being hypocritical right now. Look at that. I'm agreeing with you. What's next? Fight me on that one. But the S54, I'd rather build an S54 all day. I know you're not going to make 1,000, you're not going to make,
I think-
but it's hard to explain. It's an easier process, if that makes any sense, even though it's far more tedious than...
I feel like, yes, I feel like there's a lot of tedious parts to it, specifically the Vanos, and having to rebuild that whole thing is... The first time I did it, I literally said to Matt, I was like, I'm never doing this again. Come to find out, I did it like 3 or 4 more times, and I was like, oh my god, this is so much fun now. Same thing with the valve lash adjustment. The first time I did it, I was like, this is fucking miserable. And then I did it again 3 more times, and I was like, wow, this is so much fun. I'm so like calm. Like, this is so nice. I just think that the car and everything, it's almost like putting Legos together. You know, it's like soothing compared to like the newer stuff, that everything is just so new that it just becomes more difficult.
Yeah,
I'm
you
sure we
also,
won't be saying
but
that.
you also have it made in the shade. I mean, I give you props, 100% respect on your ability to learn fast, and it's cool to see what you've done with the engines out in the stand, but taking it out's no fun.
No, I agree.
Yeah, that's
what we got you for.
especially the older vehicles.
Yeah.
Bolts rusted or whatever the case is. You got to get the Dremel or a hacksaw.
I basically do like the prissy stuff, and you do the hard work of putting it in and out of the vehicle.
So back onto the S50, we forgot something in the shop.
What?
There's another S54 we have here.
What am I forgetting?
Look right behind you.
No, I know that one, but I wasn't going to say anything until we got the car back.
I mean, we kind of posted on it, so.
But we didn't say what was going in it. We just said we had the vehicle.
Are you sure we never posted that we were swapping something into something?
We said we were swapping, but we never spoke about what we were swapping.
Are you sure? Hold on.
So. I want to say. But anyway, we have another S54 behind me, which is the one that I pointed to at first, which is right behind me. That is getting swapped into another vehicle. I don't remember if I don't think we said what vehicle is going into.
I'm checking Instagram.
But that's also supposed to be a cool thing. It's been done before. It's nothing like, oh my God, one off. It's definitely been done probably multiple times before.
Yes, but the entire project hasn't been done the way that this one's being done.
True.
I mean, this guy is going all out, a full vehicle restoration.
Yeah.
You know,
well, yeah. From
engine
from
bay
scratch.
getting painted. You know, interior. We're handling the powertrain. But let me see something here. When was that? That was last.
Summer?
Not many red cars. They got the red. Here we go. Red G80 and.
Summer. I want to say that was
June 6th. Yeah, we never said what's going in there.
Yeah, told you.
Okay, well, just don't look for June 6th. Whoops. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That's another S54, and I guess we'll post on that when the time comes, which should hopefully be soon, based off what we heard from the body shop. So that's cool. And I'm looking around the shop here. That's all we got going on
for now.
For now, right? Yeah, that's all we got going on for now. We got a E36 318 Ti.
Yeah.
Outside. We technically have an S54 for that too. Oh, there's another S54 here.
Well, that's torn down.
You know who you are. God damn it. He's gonna change his mind.
Whatever.
He's watch. He's gonna change his mind. No.
Whatever.
No.
It is what it is.
Let's say that for something else. No. We could use S54 on something else, and then put something else in the E36. And then he'll change his mind one more time. Mark my words.
Honestly, I feel like the older cars are definitely the most fun cars I've ever driven. Like, I truly love driving the E46.
I mean, listen, I'm an old school guy, right? I can now relate with the old heads out there that love those E30s and E36s.
I think that's pushing it too far. For me,
No. Hold on. I get it. There is a stigma. There's something associated with this TI. What is it? Hatchback?
I guess so.
Pancake ass? That car is ugly. I don't like that. It's hideous.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking, but there's a large number of people. It's a cult. There's a following. They love that car.
I don't know. Something about the E46, the E39, M5, like.
I'm down with everything, except the TI.
I think.
Pancake ass, no.
Well,
no.
Listen. That's your personal opinion. My personal opinion is I love E46 M3 as like a chill car. You know, like I'm not going to the track with my E46. Even though when we were at Race Motive for the closing event last year, there was a guy who had a restored E46 that had a supercharger. It was boogieing. There was even a guy with an E36 who was also boogieing on the track. I'm pretty sure I went against him at one point, and I'm pretty sure he like beat me in the last 2 seconds. But they're just, I love a E46 and an E39 M5, like chill cars, classics.
Yeah, you could put a supercharger, you could put a turbo kit.
100%.
And,
Active sells them.
Back in the day, Active Auto Work, but back in the day, I want to say the most power made on that was Horsepower Freaks. That
I don't
you
remember
could
the guy I spoke to at Race Motive, but we spoke for a little bit, and I was like, your car's beautiful. What's done to it? He was telling me a bunch of stuff. I know he has a supercharger. He's like, I'm going back onto the track now. And I was like, all right, I'll talk to you later. But
you got to beat him next time you see him out there.
they just handle better. They drive.
No,
better.
100%. Yeah, they're fun cars, but that 318 Ti, it's an ugly car.
Listen.
They go for a lot of money
to
too.
Each their own.
There was one Techno Violet one, man. That thing went for like $28,000. Wow. Yeah.
Good color.
Hideous. But yeah, no, aside from that, that's all we got going on. The G80, we'll get to that later this year. We didn't anticipate to build a 1,500 horsepower B58. That came out of left fucking field, so it is what it is.
There's a lot of things we didn't anticipate that
Such is
last
life.
year into this year.
Such is life. Because if we didn't have the B58 going on, we would probably be working on the G80 right now. But we're gonna have to put that on hold, which is not a big deal. And yeah, we're gonna do some pretty cool shit with that G80. I might change my mind, but really like to do a true 3.5 liter stroker, and just go big.
Go big or go home.
It's not going to be a drag car. It's it's rear-wheel drive, but it'll be a car that can.
Yeah.
It can break some records, and we'll talk about that when we get closer to actually building that car.
Oh, this is another thing we also have forgotten to talk about, and a lot of people bring this up too, in conversation. I think people just assume when you have a G80 that it's automatic, right? And they hear my car is manual, right? So then when we like discuss about what we are planning on doing with the vehicle, blah 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 blah, they're like, oh, but you're not gonna be able to compete against the automatic X-Drive vehicles. And I'm like, I don't want to. Like, I don't want to try to beat them in their records. That's not what I was trying to do, or what we were trying to do as a team here. We're trying to do something else because we know we're manual and we're rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, but that goes back to what I was saying earlier about people not asking for context, right? It'd be one thing to be, okay, we're calling out auto G80s. We're not doing that, right? We're chasing our own very specific, it's us against us.
Yeah.
I really don't give a fuck what you're doing. Congratulations. Good shit. That's impressive. But at the end of the day, I don't lose sleep over it. It doesn't faze me. And I think that no one really takes it serious. A lot of people, even people that know me, still don't take me serious. I genuinely do not give a fuck about anything.
You know, it's
right? So it's like what we do here is us versus us.
You mentioned us versus us, and it's so funny that you said that, because obviously, like we've mentioned previously, or I've mentioned previously, this 2024 season was my first season roll racing. And I remember, was it the second to last? Or no, it was the last event of the season closer. And someone I know came up to me, and it was my first time meeting them in person, but we have been corresponding via email. And he was like, oh, how'd you do today? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm not looking at my times. I'm not looking at my speed. I'm just going out there to have a good time. And he looked at me and he laughed. And he's like, you're serious? I'm like, yeah, because it's me versus me. It's not me versus nobody else. He's like, that's a good attitude to have. And I was like, but what's the whole point? Like, don't you guys come out here to have fun? Like, it's a hobby, right? Like, I think of it as a hobby. Like, I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, but you need to respect that some people are highly competitive.
Oh, 100%.
Right? And I'm cool with that. The world needs people that are like that. But
that's just not who we are.
For us, no. Yeah. The manual G80 is, you can't compete with an auto ever. I'm waiting on that M2 to come out.
Auto? And
manual, all-wheel drive. Yeah.
Sorry.
We'll see how the bank account's set up. If no Porsche, then yeah, fuck it. M2 all-wheel drive. But the G80 is going to, we are chasing records, right? We're chasing an actual record that exists for that BMW platform, at least. And I won't say what it is, but we'll say, hey, we did it, and we're also 700 pounds heavier than you were, right? 6 cylinders.
It's for our own personal
Force-induced. Yeah, it's
happiness.
Just, I just want to go home and say I did it, and then I can sleep better at night.
High-five each other and be like, all right,
and,
cool.
Really, that's the best way I could put it, as far as like if I were to give someone advice, right? To stop living life trying left and right, looking at what the guys are doing next to you, right? Focus more on what you're doing and stop caring what others are doing. Stop trying to pit yourself and compete. And you could still be competitive, right? But you'll be surprised to see you'll get ahead in your competitiveness when you stop looking at it as a competition with someone else.
It's like having tunnel vision. Like, just
look at it as a competition with yourself first.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to actually succeed, surpass. You'll be able to both. You'll succeed, but you'll surpass your competitors in whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
And stop caring. Stop caring and ask for context. So we don't have this world where it's you just assumption after assumption, right? But yeah, that's about it. We covered pretty much everything.
Yeah.
S55 waiting on parts. Waiting on the cylinder head. B58 waiting on parts. 1, 2, we got 3 S54s here. And then these S54s. 3 S54s, 2 N54s, 1 ugly ass E36 pancake ass TI outside.
Ugly G80, Puerto Rican purple G80.
Puerto Rican purple G80. And
Puerto Rican purple headlights.
oh yeah, you got the Puerto Rican purple headlights. I forgot about that. We got to go back to yellow.
No, we gotta change. I gotta change the wrap.
Whose idea was the purple?
Mine.
It was?
Yeah.
Remember you said you didn't want yellow?
I didn't want
And you
anything.
like the yellow, right?
I didn't want anything.
Who the doesn't want yellow but goes purple?
'Cause
Who
it
does
matches. It matches. You gotta match. You can't have yellow snake eyes with a Puerto Rican purple wrap.
Well, I'm going to make a generalized stereotype then. That's very Puerto Rican of you.
Well, good thing I am partially
To
Puerto
match
Rican.
the wrap to the headlights.
Well,
but
I'm gonna change the wrap soon. Hopefully, I'm gonna change the headlights to match the wrap. Well, the DRLs to match the wrap, and then we're just gonna have to figure out something else to call it. But yeah, I think that concludes.
and the G83 M4
Yes.
from Texas in the parking lot. Hopefully get that out next week at some point, or at least have the engine in transit so we can drive it around. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all we got for today.
Yeah.
Unless I'm forgetting something. I don't think I'm forgetting anything, right?
Nope.
No. Yeah, stay tuned. We are going to we don't know when because we're so busy. Like really busy, but we are going to probably do some changes in here in the coming months, I would say. And in conjunction with those changes, you'll see our website. You'll be able to actually place an order for a built engine. Except we won't do it like everyone else. We won't be, oh, hey, yeah, no, we'll build your S55 with this head. We're not going to do that. And you know what? We should probably do another podcast episode and give advice to anyone who wants to. It doesn't have to be automotive, right? It doesn't have to be this industry. It could be any industry, no matter what you want to sell, whether it's a service or a product. But a lot of people are going to go, well, that doesn't make any sense. But no, we're going to list these engines, our engine build program on our website, and you won't be able to purchase online. There's no button. There's no button where you can use your credit card or send a bank wire. You have to call us, and we need to vet you, speak to you, see what you're
Go
about.
over every detail.
Every single detail.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing this for 20 years now, so I sit back and I go, wow, all these other guys out there, they'll take your money for a built engine, right? And I'm not saying everyone that does that is bad. There are a lot of good shops
I
that...
feel like that doesn't make it personalized either. Like, I feel like everyone has different needs.
Hold on. There's a few shops out there that they'll take your money online and they do give you the white glove service, right? And I respect that. If you have a system that works, but they probably have a team of 10 guys, right? Or 5 guys.
No, 100%.
Which we don't have. So the best way to manage everyone's expectations, you can't buy it online. You need to call us, reach out to us, and we'll be very selective in what we take on, right? Because a lot of you guys out there, it's either you're not building the vehicle, or rather the engine, to the specification for the use you're going to use it for. And that ends up in a disaster where in 2 months you're calling the shop back going, my engine blew up. Well, why did it blow up? Right? So
I meant it in the sense of like specialize it into what that person or specific application would be. Like, not everyone's going to want manly pistons. Not everyone's going to want CP pistons. Not everyone's going to want this. Not everyone's going to want that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like most companies who build engines, it's cookie cutter. It's the same. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's very modular. It's cookie
So,
cutter. It's get the money in the door, get it out.
That, but like, we also are personable, and we want to find out what specific. Everyone has a specific brands they like to work with, or specific brands they like to use. Some people want upgraded head studs and main studs. Some people don't want them. Some people rather use this brand compared to this brand. We like that feedback, and we also like to give our input on what we know works as well. So that's what I mean by like not being cookie cutter.
Yeah, it also comes down to, what you mentioned about all the different possibilities, right? On, an S54, for example, what brand pistons, what brand connecting rods, billet main caps, and, stock main caps, or head gasket, or, anything else that you might be using. It's easier to just say, give us a call, because there's no point to list 15 different buttons on the website or a drop down.
And I'm also not going to email you like a spreadsheet of like 5 different options.
Call us and we'll be able to feel you out. Or maybe, that customer may tell you on the phone, hey, I know what I want. This is what I want, right? And it's not listed on your website.
Yeah.
Right. So just it's more of a personalized experience.
And also, like, it also makes it seem like you're going to like a candy store or a buffet. You know what I mean? Like, you can pick what you want compared to like being told what you need, you know? Or being told like this is what you're getting.
That's very true.
But
that's very true.
Anyway, thanks for watching episode 5. Don't forget to stay tuned for episode 6. We might have a special guest next episode, which I'm hoping we do. And yeah, thanks for watching.
Bye-bye, guys. See you next time.